cycle of emotion, of dependence, of devotion. Nothing's waiting on our planet. Break the habit.
Yeah, we're back again. We're sitting in front of a table filled with loads of power supplies. What Paul from Chalk's Power Supplies right here has shown me is he brought this top of a bottle top with a coil around it, simply because in my video where I show some power supplies, which you might have seen, I try to show interference, or is that the right word?
Mm-hmm. Could be.
Yeah, how it might affect your signal with the top of a cable. And he says, well, the cable doesn't necessarily pick this up as much as something like a wah would, because a wah has a coil in it, or a high gain pedal. So what we want to
sorry to interrupt you, but the wah has the coil, and it's the most susceptible pedal to any electromagnetic field around.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you've already heard about the rule of thumb that if you have a wah and you have a power supply, keep those two away from each other. And this is what we are going to show, that it's actually a good idea, and show some differences in different power supplies. I guess.
Yeah, if you have a problem with hum or buzzing, or you will hear different sounds, it might be that your wah is too close to your power supply. It might be that your high gainy distortion, which is also most susceptible, is too close to your power supply. It might be that you have a not so goodly great power supply. So we're going to show different kinds of power supplies, different kinds of price points, but you will see that price isn't necessarily the deciding factor. Obviously, what we have to, as far as I understand, consider, the more output the power supply has, the more it would interfere with your signal. So if we're looking at...
No, wrong. Yeah? The more power, the bigger the transformer is,
yes.
The bigger the electromagnetic field will be around it.
If we're looking at the Harley Benton power plant, you would say, wow, this isn't quite as loud as some of the others. Wow, it's amazing, but it is also not as loud because it doesn't have that much power.
It has limited power, yes, correct.
So you always have to say, well, and we're going to point out kind of, let's say, low, medium, and high. We're going to rank them in 3 different categories.
We could do, yeah.
Okay? So we don't actually go into any details. We just say this is one that has not so much power, this is medium, and this is like the whoa power supply.
And then you also have to take into consideration in which direction this electromagnetic field goes. I mean, you have those lines of field around the transformer. It looks differently depending on it's a toroidal transformer.
Right here, toroidal. Say toroidal with me. Toroidal.
And this is a more standard bricks shape, UE type.
Of course, the UI type. And let's talk about how you can possibly maybe determine which kind of transformer your power supply has. If we have the, let's say, the slightly...
We have these two actually lined up. We in the last video we shown how to mount the Atom below this pedal train Nano.
But the way you have them now, you can't see the screws, which I was going to go into.
Okay, sorry.
Because on this one, you can see that there's 4 screws at the bottom, which means that it's very likely that it has actually this more common UI type transformer built in.
But not necessarily, because they are also those types used in Voodoo Lab and this one, Joyo. They also have 4 screws, but this is another type. It's not a toroidal donut type, but it's yet another type. It has its core, which is also round. It's very similar to toroidal.
But the point is, if you this is fun. That's fun. But if you see those 4 screws, it is likely that it has let's say not a toroidal built in. If you don't see those, like on the DC-10,
it doesn't mean it doesn't have a transformer at all.
It has a toroidal in it, but they have a very clever way of fixing it. If you see, and we have to pull these over as well, the Yankee, it has one big ass screw right here, which is the thing that holds the toroidal. So this is an indicator that it has the better kind of transformer built in. If you have the 4 screws, let me see what the Voodoo Lab has.
But this is also, I mean, the R-core, what it's called. It's used in some medical equipment, and so it is a kind of toroidal transformer as well, but it's not donut shaped. It's rectangular, but with round corners.
We're getting off into other things. One of the things that you guys don't bitch about that we didn't use the power supply to from Joyo, because then you know I've got a couple. We're not using this because this is the type of power supply where what do you call this?
This is the adapter, which is made on switch mode technology, so it doesn't use a standard mains transformer.
So what he's trying to say in his weird way is the thing that does the shit is not in here, right?
Could be one way of putting it.
The thing that goes is here. So it's not fair to compare them because this isn't going to go okay? So we're only comparing ones that have the shit inside. So let's just go into it. We first show your little contraption.
my little coil. It's just to show you that we will do some tests both with wire but also with this coil. It's simply a piece of wire, a long wire, which is winded up on a piece of a bottle, actually. And then we actually, this pedal is just
the pedal's just
we didn't have
we're using
the right jack.
Hey Mark Skrikov, the Techno-Fu, we're using that just as a cable extension. So way to go. Get this if you want to make your cable longer.
Okay.
It's also a freaking cool distortion, Mark.
On this board we have placed the Atom link, which has one of these built in. And here we've got the DC5 link, which has not exactly this size, but a toroidal transformer built in. And what I'm going to show you that there is a difference in the, if you should be hearing some hum. It's like being to the doctor, but hopefully you don't get this sound from your heart.
Right now we have the little Roland recorder that I bought in front of the Carl Martin Bandmate 15, which is completely clean.
Yeah. So you can hear there is some. And if you go over the Atom, you have much stronger reaction. So if this is what I told in the other video, if you purchase the Atom because it's sufficient to power your pedals, I'll recommend you to build the board, put things in place, the power supply, before you start drilling, because you could figure out that one of the pedals is actually susceptible to this and you get some hum in your signal. Then I would recommend you to take this pedal and move it as far away from the Atom. And maybe it's enough just to move it like, what would it be? It will be 5 inches away, 15 centimeters, whatever. And if you figure out that there's no way that you can put your pedal on top here and still have some hum problems, it might be because you're daisy chaining something, it might be you have some other kind of problems, but then returning the Atom and getting the DC5 could be a solution, because as we are showing, the radiation,
There is a difference.
there is a huge difference. So now we can maybe disconnect the coil and show it with a wah.
So we're going to use what you would actually have as our test subject, the wah, because you know.
It has one of these
Yes.
built in. Maybe not like this, but
And you would think that because this is completely exposed and this still has stuff around it, that it actually shields a little bit. But our test earlier showed that it really doesn't.
We've actually done some tests back in the lab with different kinds of wahs. Some of the bottoms are aluminum. This is actually, I think it might be plastic actually. There are different materials. Some of the coils in some wahs are actually shielded inside. So
It depends on the wah.
yeah, it depends on the wah.
But we need power for this.
Okay, so-
actually. we need a power supply? We should go and order one.
Yeah, we should just
Did you have a power supply anymore?
we can just
And we
connect
actually
one of
need a
these.
longer one for the wah.
Yeah, I think we have some cables here. This one is good.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So if you put the VM on standby, so we don't get too many.
Is on standby.
Okay.
It takes
Got
a
it
while to
anyway.
go on standby.
So this is out, right? This
That's
is in. This is in. Oh.
Do we need something on in? No, huh?
I think we have to. I don't know. We can try. Can you put it back on?
No, it's good.
That is good.
So
So we
what you're hearing is the wah sound without any input.
You already hear some hum, right?
Yeah, it's a wah. Come on. Toroidal, phlemoidal.
So
Wait, do this again. Do this again.
So, a clear lesson. You will get some hum if you place your wah on top of power supply. But the good thing is that you don't have to move it very far away from the power supply to almost completely cancel out this hum.
And we've already seen when we mounted the pussy, when Paul mounted my pussy, on the Novo 24, his pussy power, we already took it off again. So when we mounted this, we could see that with his mounting system, it wasn't actually super close like this, because they were easily, 2-3 centimeters?
2.5.
2.5 centimeters away from the pedal. So we already have, with the way that these are mounted, a distance if you mount the bigger ones on a bigger board.
It's 2.5, 3 centimeters is not enough when we talk wahs, but who's got the wah in the middle of the pedal board? You usually have it aside.
You don't have that in the middle?
No.
What if you have 7 wahs? You're an idiot.
Maybe, yeah.
See, Stevie Salas, I'm so sorry. No, you're not, because Stevie Salas has wahs everywhere.
Okay.
He actually had a wah in front and behind his drives to get crazy sounds. He's a wah freak. So what we have this plugged into this. Well, let's move it over the Eventide power factor too.
It will also hum. It's not as much as the Atom, but you have to take into consideration that the transformer inside the Eventide power factor is 40 volt ampere, where it's only 14 here. So it's almost 3 times as powerful as this power supply.
Let me translate. It has more balls.
Yeah.
And also, right now, we're not loading it up with
No.
a lot of things. So if this was filled and you actually had 4 Eventides on this and it was going trying to push out this power, this effect would be more,
Stronger, yeah.
would be stronger. So of course, the more pedals you've got on your power supply, the more harder it has to work. So the more this effect would come out. So what are we comparing to?
Now we can what we can do now is actually also to show that 2 power supplies having
Similar properties?
similar transformer, similar properties, they act differently because of different material used for the case.
Okay.
Because aluminum is not shielding this low frequency thing as good as steel.
And even though it's really, really pretty, we have the Moen Aluminum MISO-A, the MISO 8. MISO. Nice power supply, not the cheapest. And
We actually don't know what type of transformer, even if it got 4 screw, but I would imagine that this is this R core used both in Joyo and the pedal power. So we can maybe try to
compare those.
compare those.
And we also should compare it to the pedal power from the leading company. We gotta say this. We're not. By the way, we're not trying to bash anyone here. Okay, this is a scientific kind of let's look at things thing.
We'll move this away.
And even if you bash some company, this is for you. You have to make an informed buying decision.
Power on.
Power on.
Okay.
So these are on now. We have lights. We have light. No load on him.
So
I'm gonna say it, you shouldn't say it. Thumbs up for Joyo right here, okay? I'm sorry, but I mean, this is very clear. But let's not be unfair. Maybe you have it mounted this way.
Whoa, spacey.
Hey, let's do like a little competition here. This one is out. Let's move this one in. So far, Joyo.
And now we must say actually that this has a little bit less. Well, it's comparable. It's got 250 outlets. It's got one section with 400 milliamps. Then you've got 4.
It's in the ballpark, so
Yeah,
they're both
it's-
medium.
yeah.
Let's say both medium outputs.
So again.
I have not done. I'm gonna be honest. I have not done a review for this Joyo Power Supply 4 because I frankly thought that they made a stupid product. I'm gonna be honest, but it looks more and more as if it is actually not as stupid as I thought.
Okay, leave this on.
Okay.
And we can have
The DC5.
DC5 like this, and I think we should take, because if you, yeah, we could actually have a few. Have you got another cable like this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's here, right? And then I would like to have the Schizophrenic,
Which
because
is
then-
somewhat. Here.
Yeah, there we go.
That's also the UI transformer.
Then we have.
Other side.
Yep. Okay.
So we got 4 of them. This is we're going a little bit crazy.
Toroidal, R-core, which is pretty similar to toroidal, and these actually have the same type of transformer and the same size of the transformer. So it's yeah. Where should we start? Would you like to do the,
Sure.
the
No, you
Star Wars
no,
thing?
No, you know how to do it. Come on.
Okay.
This is fun.
Yeah, but the
But
thing
you
is,
did-
what we
let's
figure
turn
out
it
that
around.
usually you have this DC5 turned this way on the pedal board, and then we figure out that actually the noise was less.
Which he didn't design. He didn't necessarily consider that when making this. But it's nice that it actually, when it is upside down, it reduces the noise quite a bit. We turned the other ones around. Really, no big difference.
You should have had some kind of emitter on, but
Hey, in this lineup, they're kind of similar. This is a little bit disappointing on that front. A DC5 clearly heads up here. You gotta, you've heard it. We're not making this shit up.
and the power of these 4 units is very similar in terms of the power of the transformer. The way they are configured, the outlets is different, but they are pretty
I
comparable.
want to do another comparison between. Let's see.
Well, let's take DC10, because the thing is, the DC10.
I wanted
and-
to look at my friends from Carl Martin because it's we actually opened them. The Carl Martin is similar in design to the Joyo, and we actually haven't checked the Carl Martin. I think, have we?
I
I can't remember. We've been doing this for 2 days and we're very tired. So we're
Okay.
gonna compare these two.
From top.
Yep. Okay, that's a very clear difference. I was gonna say, hey, way to go for the guys in China. On the other hand, this says right here, the Carl Martin's also made in China. So there's no bitching about Chinese versus wherever products. These are just the facts of the products we've got on the table. Of course, many of you have this because it's dirt cheap. Obviously, it's also dirt cheap because it's not isolated. It only has 500 milliamps spread out over 8 outputs, which is why it is not going to be as loud as you would expect it. Because it simply doesn't have that much power. But let's just check it for fun. It's not as bad, but again, it doesn't have as much power. Okay. So, you wanted to test the...
I would like to show you the DC10, because the main difference, the DC10, also the pussy power,
Well,
they
let's do the pussy power, come on.
The transformer inside there is toroidal, but additionally we have put an extra shield around it. So this should actually help to reduce. Should we take this from this one?
Now we're going into the higher output category now.
Yeah. What
This-
can we compare it to?
Okay.
And
This is
yeah.
high output.
We could take this. Okay. And then I must say that the size of the whatever.
Yeah.
Different type of sound.
Always gotta say, you know, I've been pushing Yankee. It's a prototype, but the chances that the differences in a mass-produced one are different. Okay. It's all about the pussy. Whoa!
All right.
That makes you happy, doesn't it? Come on, you gotta He makes these things. It's gotta make him happy. I'm not gonna say anything to this. You've heard it, so you hear what you want to hear. So let's go. We've had Schizophrenic Big John. These both have the UI. We have this one. What can we compare that to? The Rockboard.
I don't know. We haven't looked inside it, but I don't know.
It did weird stuff yesterday.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
The screen went on and off, and it did power things, and then it didn't. But this is more like a mid-sized in terms of power.
And we've just tried to do.
That's the
this
wrong one.
cable.
Let's not compare it to anything. Let's just listen to it.
Or whatever.
What?
That's bad.
What? Did you say what? Okay, so again, we're not talking about any pricing on any of these because that would be, you can't say, well, but it's cheap. What?
If you don't have a wah, you might never experience differences using any of these.
But it clearly shows a difference in quality, in design, in shielding, and that's what we're trying to illustrate here.
This is airborne noise you can
Let's
get.
do one more. Let's do the Chocolate versus.
Well, this should be the same
HSM
as
Titanic.
because you have the DC10 and AC10 almost two transformers here. You have two toroidal transformers here. Yeah, but we can do it.
Because this is the Emperor class of ridiculous amounts of power.
I actually have seen this on.
It's neat. I mean, that does look neat.
You wanna try?
No, you go ahead. But maybe it gets mounted this way. Maybe, I don't know. Now that's even quieter.
I'm happy.
I don't have to comment on any of this. You know, I've worked with some of these companies. I'm happy that this thing that I didn't know how to sell to you, I didn't know how to push this Joyo power supply for on you because it's heavy and I thought it couldn't power Strymon pedals. I thought it couldn't power a PXL, which it actually can. And I thought it's just heavy and bulky and stupid, which is why I haven't said anything about it. But in this test, it shows up well. He looked at it inside. I mean, this is not really competition for your company.
No.
What this can do, your product.
It's pretty limited what you have of options with voltages, even if you have these 12 volts here.
With his company, this is roughly. Actually, this is more power, but I mean, this is the size and weight comparison here. So, but in terms of clean power, it can deliver. I'm happy to find this out. I'm not pushing this right now.
It's not bad.
We'll talk about this later. And if he, this means something to me. It makes me happy to consult for Joyo. So this is cool. I'm thinking about how I can get him out of the door, with him not noticing that the chocolate's not in his suitcase. How do I do that?
I think we talked about this, and
I think we can find some kind of.
I think you've got some kind of a deal.
Hopefully not sexual arrangement to leave this here, because I need something over there to power my pedals, and we know what's there, what's been there before. Maybe we will find some kind of deal. So I hope this was educational for you. He wants to do one more video. I don't even know what anymore, and I don't know what was
We would
it.
like to talk about cables.
Cables.
The series adapter flags, stack flags, and parallel adapter flags. Because
Which of course-
you're mixing up the different kinds of connections, which is a series connection and a parallel connection, which eventually, in worst cases, could lead to damage of a pedal, because you want to give it more current, because one outlet is not enough, and you end up by giving it double the voltage. it
Which is
actually
something
needs.
specific to his products, and there'll be a short separate video for that, of course, here on my channel. Oh my god, I can't do it anymore. But I've learned a lot, and even though these don't make sounds, by the way, they do.
Now they do. Now
Well, yours don't
now
make-
been comparing sounds of power
Yours
supplies,
don't
actually.
make that much sound. But so if you want to see that, go and see it, which is of course specific to his products with the parallel serial something. What I'm gonna have coffee while he talks about this shit. I don't care anymore. So later, people.